The comfort of your favorite seat is now your comfy car selling command center, thanks to Carvana.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Your favorite seat's the best spot in the house. Make it even better by entering your license plate or VIN and getting a real offer in minutes.
There really is no place like home.
And speaking of home, Carvana will pick up your car from yours after you finalize your offer. Visit Carvana.com or download the app and sell your car from your comfy place.
Man, that sunset is gorgeous.
Grill, patio, sunset. Hard to get better than that. Unless you're browsing Carvana's inventory while you soak it all in.
Oh, burger time.
So sit back, get comfortable. Carvana's got thousands of cars under $20,000 just waiting for you.
I could stay here forever.
Carvana, where car buying meets comfort meets convenience. Download the app or visit Carvana.com today.
Lucy Ludwell inherited her father's Virginia residence in 1767. At the time, she was living as a member of the social elite in London with her husband, John Paradise. Although John had been a linguist and scholar of some note, the couple had never seen a substantial improvement in their financial standing. Upon John's untimely death, Lucy was left near destitute and forced to depart London for the residence her father had left her in the old colonial capital of Virginia. Neighbors and community members took notice of Lucy's eccentricities, like excessive bathing and aimless carriage rides that never left her back porch. Her strange behaviors were seen as indicators of insanity, and the community had her committed to the public hospital for persons of insane and disordered minds. She lingered within its walls for 2 years before committing suicide. Since then, visitors and those who have stayed within the Ludwell-Paradise house have said they can still hear the sound of a woman bathing despite the bathroom being empty. Many stories of unusual hauntings surround not only the private residence, but many other of the restored structures of the old colonial capital. This case file, join the theorists as they tell you less than sober spooky tales of the hauntings of Colonial Williamsburg.
Welcome to Alien Theorists Theorizing, Case File 195, Williamsburg, West Virginia, Hauntings.
No, definitely as East Virginia as you can get, pretty much.
East Virginia.
Yeah. Mountain Mama. Take me home.
Geography is not their strong point.
Talking about ghosts and scary shit.
I'm Braden.
I'm Zell.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Andrew.
It's a goddamn heat dome, boys. Heat dome.
It is. Let's just, before we get into this case file for a second, let's just get into this. In Lytton, BC yesterday, as recording, so it's Sunday, it was one of the hottest places on Earth.
But
right
they beat it today.
It's hotter in Canada than it is in Mexico.
It's
Much
hotter in Kelowna, British Columbia than fucking Kandahar.
You guys are thinking it in the wrong frame of mind. You need to be thinking like, hey, I'm living in the hottest time ever recorded in history.
That's some bullshit, Dan.
It's awful.
Hottest time
no one's
so
thinking
far.
Lytton, BC was 47 today.
That's insane.
That is a Canadian record.
The hottest it's ever been in Canada.
Ever.
It got up to, I think, 41 here today in Kelowna. And the cab of our vehicle at work didn't get any cooler than 37 degrees.
Dude,
Literally swimming.
Honestly, my thermometer on the island said 39 degrees. I'm literally beside the ocean. And you know what the worst part about being beside the ocean and between ocean and mountains is?
Humidity.
You would think that as the sun goes down, the heat it gets colder. It doesn't. It gets hotter. It gets
Well, the
hotter
water
here.
retains the heat. Like,
So what happens is the heat all rise. It pushes up the mountainside, and then when it cools off, all the heat comes rushing back down, and it just like between it's 7:30 p.m. now. It's like it's heating up still. It's unbelievable. The worst time on the island is like from 4 to like 9 p.m. because it's just unbelievable.
Honestly, it's so dry right now. You could like rub 2 blades of grass together and start a forest fire.
yep, all I need is one good gender reveal party, and you guys are fucking
One
scorched earth.
one firework display and it's over.
My fucking pants are catching on fire every time I walk, buddy. Forget blades of glass. That chafage is
I could
so
only imagine the slug trail you're leaving behind right now.
It's
Oh, dude,
probably
everywhere.
disgusting.
man.
Call me Slimer, buddy.
Buddy, just a geyser of swass just pouring out.
Oh, it's absolutely unbelievable. The boys are a little bit on the liquor to fight the heat wave
Fighting
tonight,
the heat.
so
Gotta be.
for a
Cheers.
little bit sloppier than normal.
Cheers.
You know why? But Williamsburg, Colonial Williamsburg. Dan, how come every video I watched of Colonial's Williamsburg, I just pictured you there in full costume?
Because Colonial Williamsburg is a reconstructed town where they
Which is in
act
West
out-
Virginia, right?
It's not.
West,
It is
it's in West Virginia.
It is in East Virginia.
It's in West Virginia and Mountain Mamas. Is that what you're saying?
No,
Next to
it's
the-
Take me
not,
home.
it's not even near the mont. It's technically like built like just north of
Okay.
like swampland.
Okay.
So West Virginia, east of the fucking Mountain Mamas. We got it.
Yes, I think for you guys, you think like the entire East Coast is just all Virginia. Like it's all West Virginia to you guys.
That's what it seems
yeah.
like to us.
Yep.
No big
Tomato,
deal.
potato, man.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
Okay,
Checks out.
just before Dan gives what it is, got a quick mention. This was the monthly Ron Pond fan pick off Patreon.
That's right.
Again,
Indeed.
so if it sucks, it's your fucking
your fault.
Also,
It's your
and
fucking
this,
fault.
This beat out Chupacabra.
Yeah, what's wrong with you guys?
It did. It's the Ron Pond fan pick poll at the $10 tier, and people
We're
get
gonna
to vote
start.
for-
We're gonna start
blew it.
asterisking, putting asterisks beside the ones we want you to vote for.
This is just an arrow beside,
Yeah, like-
in the actual title.
There's nothing wrong with Colonial Williamsburg.
There's nothing
is
wrong.
one of the most haunted places, or
But
it is
it's
considered one of the
not-
haunted places.
It's
At
not the Chupacabra.
It's not Chupacabra.
It's not the Chupacabra. Yeah, that's true.
many-
Buddy,
but
How many
I was-
90s pop punk songs are about it? None. Zero.
Dude, I was so ready. I had my sombrero ready to go. I was gonna shave my little pencil mustache. I was ready to go for Chupacabra. Just caught me by surprise. I didn't have any white powdered wigs.
Maybe that's why they voted that in to save us all from a fucking horrendous Mexican accent that Braden was going to do.
Yeah,
I wasn't gonna
Saved
do any
us.
accents.
Yeah,
I got
I'm sure.
2 accents.
saved us from the internet police.
Yeah.
So Colonial Williamsburg, it is one of the oldest settlements it is the old capital of Virginia. It is the colonial capital of colonial Virginia. And it's been around for, it was founded like 300 years ago. You have a long history of people living there and dying there. Plenty of wars, massacres, epidemics,
Yeah.
everything that could possibly happen there.
Murders.
I mean, you can imagine what was happening.
Executions.
Yeah, it is colonial times. People want to think about, like you guys, like Brayden just mentioned, you can think about like people in powdered wigs going up and down in dirt roads and carriages. It probably wasn't really like that. It's really like a lot of people dying. It's most of it.
Sounds like the type of place you'd want to pay and visit. Sounds like really fun and exciting.
Well, they definitely like, make it a little bit more palatable to people visiting.
This is right over there to the left is where thousands of people died. And right on the right here is where we can turn some butter.
well,
Go ahead. Step on up.
I mean, if you want to
they
get
also
specific
say
about
that
it,
in like theater actor thespian talk the whole time.
Turneth thy butter to
Yeah.
the right.
to be a little bit more specific, like it's not one of the first English settlements. I mean, you have Jamestown, which was the first permanent English settlement in the Americas, and that was established in 1607 by the Virginia Company of London, and that one's actually 6 miles from Williamsburg. So Jamestown is where they actually found, like just a couple of years ago, I remember them finding, like archaeologists doing a couple excavations there. They found evidence of there. Jamestown was not a fun place to be because at one point, like they had to revert to cannibalism. at one point. Like they found an actual actual remains of what seemed to be a young girl who had markings on her where it's obviously she had been killed and perhaps eaten.
Did anyone have fun back then? Is what I want to like. I don't even think fun was a thing back.
No, they were fucking making Windagos left and right.
Yeah,
people
that's
like
awful.
I was going to say, did any of those descendants escape into the national park system and set up camp?
Maybe. I don't know. National park system was probably established like 100 years later, but
you were there, Zell.
They escaped into the national park before it became designated, and they've set up shop, and that's where you get the stories of cannibals. It all makes sense now.
So Colonial Williamsburg would be one of the oldest settlements in the United States. You naturally have a slew of hauntings there. You have, with all of the, the amount of people who have lived there and the length of time of which has existed and just having the constant things there. You have a lot of these locations
constant
which
tortured souls for 100 years.
Trapped souls all over the state.
Boiling pot.
It's definitely considered one of the more haunted places on the East Coast. They have regular ghost tours at Colonial Williamsburg, and there are a lot of places that people have reported seeing something, feeling something, those creepy, fingers going down your, chills down your spine, people seeing strange apparitions and dark windows at night. And because this place is like, it is, constantly staffed, you have people there, whether it's security, working in the actual, cause it's kind of like Colonial Williamsburg now at this point, it's kind of like a theme park.
Spooky Disneyland.
Well, Busch Gardens is right there too, and Water Country USA. So it's both near amusement parks.
Never heard of any of
Future
those
Paw
places.
Trip.
Hello.
Yeah.
No.
Hello.
The Busch
No,
Gardens
thank
there
you.
is when I went on my first. It had a Loch Ness Monster roller coaster, and that was the first roller coaster I ever rode as a kid. It was fucking awesome. I don't know if it's still there. So yeah, and so you have people there who have worked there for times because they do have paid actors there now doing reenactments and things like this. So you have this people going inside these houses. You have these houses that have been around and preserved for hundreds of years. Dan, I got to interrupt you. Why are you on this podcast and why are you not doing that? That feels like there's been nothing more in your wheelhouse ever than doing that. Are you lying to us and you actually are doing that? That's what I want to know. I feel like you have
I posted this video in the chat of this like thespian actor being like, and I heard the baby crying late at night. And I was like, that's Dan. Yeah. This is Dan's future.
It definitely doesn't pay that much, I believe. Like I don't think anybody does this. It's more like a hobby.
Yeah, Dan, there's no way you're making enough off the podcast to survive, so you got to have a second job. This must be it. And if it's not,
someone in Virginia
like 2 hours
needs to go
down there. 2-hour commute down to Williamsburg.
It's probably room and board included.
Keep trying to change the subject, Dan. That's all I'm saying, buddy. We're on to you.
No, the subject is Colonial Williamsburg. I'm not trying to change
You're trying to get off. We know you're doing it. We know you're moonlighting.
Dan, I just feel like how many first dates have you taken to Colonial Williamsburg?
None, because it's 2 hours away. That's not that far.
Worth it.
I feel like that would be my play if I was you. If I was you, I'd be like, I'm of a swiping white. Like, hey, what do you want to go on a date? I'm like, hey, you ever been to Colonial Williamsburg?
Look, it's not Colonial Williamsburg, the Renaissance Fair. The Maryland Renaissance Fair is closer to my house. So I would go to the Maryland Renaissance Fair before I would go to Colonial Williamsburg.
How many times you made it to second base at a Renaissance Fair, buddy? Come on. I'm going to be honest.
Twice. Oh, sorry. How do you say it again? Renaissance?
Oh, yeah.
Renaissance.
Renaissance. Wow. Is that second base now or is that second base in Renaissance times?
Oh, good point.
That's good. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what the standards were back then in Renaissance. It's one of the things I don't know.
Pretty sure you had to have sex through like a bed sheet or something back then because there's no physical contact.
Colonial times, yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, we all have watched The Patriot with. They might have Williamsburg in The Patriot. I'm not sure. Like that might be actual place and location. I can't remember. I haven't watched that movie in a long time. But one of the locations that is reported to be haunted and is actually still a functioning and prestigious university there is the University of William and Mary. Now, the College of William and Mary, the actual campus itself, is said to be haunted by many ghosts, and it is considered. I don't know if there are other. I don't know how many other, off the top of my head, haunted schools in the nation there are, but William and Mary is definitely considered one of the most haunted schools.
It's basically America's Hogwarts.
Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
Well, you talking? You got fucking nearly headless Nick floating around the corridors, but this week because it's out of school, he just forces you to do fucking algebra. That'd be way worse.
You have moaning Mary instead of moaning Myrtle.
Yeah.
It does. It looks straight out of fucking Hogwarts. Look at that castle.
One of the most haunted buildings is said to be the Sir Christopher Wren building, and it is the college's oldest building, and it is the oldest surviving college building in the United States itself. Now, people have said, historians seem to have traced the building's origins of its haunting all the way back to the American Revolution, where it had actually been converted into a hospital, and it had been used to treat wounded French soldiers. And then again, it was used during the Civil War, because I've said it multiple times, like Virginia itself was a giant battlefield for most of the Civil War. Hundreds of battles going on here. So you have this right there. You have a very, from what most, kind of ghost hunters would probably tell you, like, this is a perfect recipe for a haunting. You have men, dying, of, both terrible war injuries and, infection, disease, all of these things, pain, suffering, all mixed together. And then not only from one war, but two wars.
Dude, all the recipes for extreme hauntings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have people who have said that they've seen, strange, transparent figures, some wearing some type of uniform they've reported. So that is very, could be one of these French soldiers, could have been a Union or even Confederate soldier during the time. And there are another source that people cite as a possible origin of this haunting is, and this one sounds like this probably hits the nail on the head, but there are crypts below the chapel of the building.
Fucking crypts?
You're just begging to be, you're begging to get paranormally activated.
Just the word crypt on its
begging
own.
for it.
The fact that you call it a crypt and not a crawl space, you're in some trouble here.
You automatically get a little green weird skeleton dude with like little fucking wispy hair coming out, inviting you to come down to his crypt.
You cast the spell. If you say the word crypt, you're casting a spell for haunting, just automatically.
Every ghost around the area is like,
crypt, you say?
It's the hot spot. It's where you got to be.
interesting.
And if it's not enough to leave these graves even undisturbed underneath the chapel of one of the buildings, there is campus lore that fraternity pledges had been tasked to actually go underneath.
Are
these
you fucking
buildings.
kidding me?
They would use the underground steam tunnels, the utility tunnels underneath the university to actually access some of these crypts and steal bones.
What?
They're desecrating graves?
Why can't these guys stick to smacking each other's asses with those paddles? Why you gotta steal bones?
Yeah, or some
Why you
cookie
gotta do that?
races.
Yeah, what the
Right?
fuck?
This is how the Skull and Bones should have started, but this is the wrong college, right? What was that, Yale Skull and Bones?
Yeah, it's not Skull and Bones. This is William and Mary. But William and Mary is a prestigious school in itself. I think it's a very good law school. A couple people have gone there. A couple famous people.
Maybe that good. I've never heard of it, and I am very scholarly.
You have other buildings there that are associated with the ghost lore. You have Hunt Hall, which is now the actual freshman dorm of the university, and that had actually also been a hospital. A lot of the buildings had been former hospitals, and a lot of the students, or a number of students, have claimed that they have seen ghosts of what seem to be female nurses in uniform that wander the halls at night.
Did they wear those costumes back then?
Yeah, I don't. Wearing the white, it's just like, I mean,
Short
that would have
skirt
been just something.
nurse.
Listen, you guys have a massive misconception of nurses.
I'm the same. Maybe back in the
scary.
day. Back in the day, maybe this is how they
They're
dressed.
scary.
Now they're in just
And mean.
scary and mean.
Scary. Nurse Ratchet fucking coming after you.
Yeah. There's another building, the Phi Beta Kappa Memorial Hall, that is said to be a home to another ghost of a student who had actually obtained the lead role in a theater production at the university, but tragically died in a car accident before the play's opening night. And then, so according to legend, an understudy for the role had been practicing one night, and they had actually seen a dress without anybody in it walking around the stage.
What was the play?
The understudy cut the brakes. 100%.
That's kind of what I wanted.
100%.
When I read this, I was like, "What? Do we have any idea what the play was?" Like Zell was saying, like,
I didn't.
When I read this, I thought, "Is it Macbeth? Is it another Macbeth?
Lady Macbeth?
No, you can't say Macbeth. You have to say the Scottish play.
Shit, the Scottish play."
There you
Fuck.
Ooh, oops. Cancel.
We're
So yeah, I'm not sure what which play it was. That's how the legend goes. Is that perhaps they would seen something? I think also in that area, like people have heard. There's other reports of like ghostly pianos being played. Nobody's there when they go check to where the pianos are usually located. Nobody's there.
How come ghostly pianos are always so talented? It's never just someone just hammering the fucking keys.
It's always a aficionado, like some
fucking
prodigy.
chopsticks.
Listen, if I ever haunt you guys and you're near a piano and you just see her hammering keys and I'm dead, it's me.
That's my first thing my mind would go to.
Well, I would assume if you were attached enough to a piano, enough for your
that's fair.
for your
That's
emotional
fair.
energy to kind of transfer over into the afterlife. I would assume that you'd be pretty good at it, unless you really like that piano for some other weird reason.
Why is it always pianos? Like, how come you never hear anybody?
Oh,
like
plus
a
you have
haunted-
like 100 years to get good at it. Like if you're a ghost and you're trapped there for 100 years, why not get good at playing the piano?
Yeah, but why is it always pianos? Like you don't ever hear a haunted recorder playing Hot Cross Buns.
I'm
or
pretty
anything
sure
like
there's
that.
haunted banjos.
I was gonna say if there's any instrument that Braden would haunt, it's probably a recorder. Just two in one.
Probably.
One of the other locations that's said to be pretty haunted is the Thomas More house. Now, Thomas More was known to be a bit of a womanizer of his time. And
Whoa. Like a ladies' man?
He's a womanizer.
very
baby.
much.
He's a late buddy. This is beautiful. Like you got Ghost Dad. Now we got Thomas More, Ghost Ladies Man.
I mean, colonial Americans were known to be quite that. I mean, Benjamin Franklin, that dude.
Oh, he's a Ghost Ladies
he
Man.
fucked.
Yeah, that was a lazy man. Yeah, he did.
He's a Ghost Ladies Man. Ooh, with a lady.
His penchant for spending time with the ladies and forming friendships with them actually ended up him actually forming a relationship with a woman named Constance Hall. Now, Constance Hall was actually a married lady.
That sounds
at the time.
I was gonna say that name Constance Hall sounds like trouble.
Not sexy. It's a little bit sexy.
And it said that Constance
Trouble.
would sneak away from her home and family to meet Thomas at his house on Henry Street.
You little, you dirty girl, you.
You Scarlet.
Old Tommy Boy's a home wrecker.
Sounds like
Now,
Tommy Boy, the Ghost Ladies Man.
it's said that on one Sunday morning, Harvey Hall, Constance's husband, paid an unexpected visit to Thomas More's residence.
Uh-oh.
And because he had been hearing these rumors that had been spreading in all about town about what his wife was involved in and how she was
Who
involved,
heard it from a friend.
that you've been
Heard it
messing
from a
around.
friend who.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Hall was not quite surprised to find that because of the rumors that already kind of informed him, that he found his wife with Thomas.
Oh, in the act.
Laying with another man.
Not sure if it's in the act or not. I mean, this is colonial history, so it's like it's not anything's really written down. But we do apparently they do know that.
Hold on a second. Lift up that sheet right now. Who's onto that fucking sheet?
Apparently, a violent argument ensued, as
you would.
naturally between two men. And then when the argument was over, Thomas was dead.
And now you have a Ghost Ladies Man.
Now, Constance at this point knew that her husband was most likely going to be incarcerated for life because of, the murder of Thomas. Now, whether it was warranted or not, it was murder. She knew that. She recognized that. So what they ended up doing was Constance and her husband ended up hiding Thomas's body in the basement.
Just like threw it down in the basement, no like digging or
chucked it down there, down in the basement.
Trying to get rid of it in any great manner. Just
yeah, I don't think it was very well hidden because the body was eventually discovered a week later. And then Harvey, Constance's husband, was imprisoned for life.
When it's like you've and you can imagine that would be a recipe for a good like haunted spirit, where it's like this person is murdered by like their lover, who they've, Constance was probably saying, I'm going to leave him, this or that, or maybe he was playing like maybe they were into each other, and so when he sees her like participate in the hiding and the the desecration of his corpse, angers that spirit, right? He's pissed now. He's like, I meant nothing, right? This was all bullshit. I died for nothing.
Sticks around.
Angry spirit.
So you can now Thomas has said his actual ghost is, some people have reported actually seeing a ghost, which may or may not be him. What are the ones that have been reported or attributed to his spirit? At least one was a bookstore manager who had been working.
Was it a lady? Was it a lady?
Yes, it was a lady. It was a
okay. That's probably Tommy Boy. Then.
And,
what's up, baby? You want to get spooky real quick? Yeah, that's right.
There's a great comment in the chat. Someone said he really ghosted her.
Nice.
Thanks, Shadow. Stole that one.
The bookstore owner is quoted saying that at one point at night when she was working, counting receipts after all the employees had gone home, she says, I was in my office in the back when I heard a noise coming from the front area. I was sure I was the only person left inside because I checked the store thoroughly before I locked up. I peeked around the corner and I saw a man standing by one of the registers. I had no idea how he could have gotten in. He was dressed in black from head to toe, and his skin was a pale shade of white. So after that, she says that she ducked back into the office and to call 911. When kind of locked herself back in the office. And when the police arrived, she told them that all the doors were locked. So the intruders still had to be inside the store itself.
The call, it's coming from inside the house.
Oh, that's the worst.
The police searched the entire building and they didn't find anyone.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, man. Listen, like if she just would have went with it, she probably could have listened to like fucking Righteous Brothers and made some pot. Fucking sculpt that shit out of clay. It would have been super romantic. Like Tom, he seems like he's a friendly ghost.
So now you have that sighting, and then you have another sighting of the same ghost, or at least a description that resembles that same apparition, from an employee at a local jewelry store. And they're quoted as saying that evening, not the same evening as the previous report, but on one evening they stayed late to do inventory. And he said that I was sitting in the middle of the floor counting stock when I heard a light tapping sound. As I stood up, I saw a man with a dark mustache peering through the window. I noticed he was incredibly pale. He scanned the room as if he was looking for something in particular. And as I watched him, he faded away before my eyes.
I mean, it could have been Zell, but
This is true.
I mean,
This is not that long ago.
Somebody actually seeing the apparition just disappear right in front of them. That's one of the things that kind of gets me for ghost sightings is like when you actually see the apparition, evaporate,
kind of like
whatever,
fade away.
but you're underestimating how pale Zell is. Sometimes he's translucent. Maybe he just fucking turned sideways gonzo.
Look at this motherfucker. Braden's gone now too. Maybe it was Braden.
Maybe it was Braden.
Has Braden been a supernatural creature this whole time?
It's not hard to vanish in front of people's eyes.
So you have these two sightings of this incredibly pale man. Some people would say that this is perhaps the ghost of Thomas More, that he's still searching for Constance Hall, perhaps wandering the town at night, searching for her from store to store or wherever in the building from building. For the one woman who seemed to make him happy or infatuated him to such a point that he would risk being murdered, perhaps.
Yeah, but you lost your life. I can't imagine he's that happy about it. He's not thrilled. I imagine he's looking for her for some sort of repercussion.
A little bit of revenge, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
He's a known ladies' man. Like, what was her, like, he probably wasn't really that attached to her. She was just another,
He's a good chance he had more than just little Constance on the side there.
Yeah.
Seems like it.
Yeah, potentially.
Now, another building another one of the haunted locations is the George White House or White House. And
I thought it was
With the Withy.
With House?
I thought it was Withy.
With House. I thought it was the With
George
House.
with the house.
Did you read it like that or you heard somebody call
No, I read
I
it
heard
as
someone
Withy.
call it like that.
The With House? The With House.
WYTHE?
Yes.
with
Or
With
why
House.
the?
Why the
Shiza?
House?
Why the house? How would you like me to pronounce it?
The white. You can go ahead.
Put a
with
little
white.
Renaissance fucking
Yeah, but Renaissance.
twang on it for us.
Renaissance.
With it?
Why White House?
With the
House.
There you go.
So the George
treat us like you're telling us and it's your first date, right? Like
first
Talk
date
to
is
us like
yeah,
you want to go to second base with us, Dan.
yeah,
at the
in
Renaissance
colonial
Fair. At the jousting tournament.
Yeah.
Turn our butter, Dan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
churn it.
yeah, you guys don't know, man. Like
Oh,
nothing
my
turns a girl
Lord.
more
We
on
want to
than-
know.
You don't
Dan,
you don't
we
know.
wanna know.
Nothing turns girls more on more than
Colonials Williamsburg.
well, no. Gladiatorial combat on the tournament grounds in a jousting tournament. Hand-to-hand combat.
Number
Come on.
one.
Hey, I'm
Hey,
here
listen,
for this. I want to hear
don't
all
doubt that
about
because
this.
anytime I go anywhere where there's a tournament of champions, that's the first place I go. So like, I agree with you there.
So the George Wythe House was actually built for the colonial elite in 1753, and it was actually given as a gift to George Wythe from his father-in-law. Now, George Wythe is famous in his own right for being America's first law professor and actually a mentor to Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, he was this guy was like George Wythe was a fucking bigwig.
Well, the funny thing is like if you go back to colonial Williamsburg and any of the people in Virginia, like a lot of the first presidents were from Virginia. Like Virginia, again, being one of the first colonies and one of the first, major places of trade and economy in colonial America. Like you have a lot of people from there, so it's kind of neat. It's kind of cool history from all of this stuff. So the house is actually famous for serving as a headquarters for George Washington during the Revolutionary War and also the French Lafayette before the Battle of Yorktown, which is not far away either. Now, you have what is reported is that you have these perhaps spirits of Anne Skipwith and Sir Peyton Skipwith, who were actually friends of George Wythe at the time. Now, Anne reportedly died in 1779, and she had been laid to rest in Bruton Parish graveyard. And then why she died is not exactly known. It still remains a mystery. But there are two stories that are generally kind of accepted or at least competing for credibility about what happened to her. And the first one says that she died in her husband's arms after an unfortunate miscarriage. Those kinds of things were deadly back then and a lot more life threatening than they are now.
Yeah.
The second story states that Anne had been actually attending a ball down the street from the Wythe House at the governor's palace. She got in an argument with her husband, and she actually accused him of having an affair with her sister.
Ooh, sister.
Yeah. What?
Easy.
Now, after this, she apparently pulled a Cinderella because she had, it said that she ran home in the snow, probably late
In glass slippers?
late winter. She lost one of her slippers along the way, apparently.
Shit.
And then shortly afterwards, she committed suicide in her room at the Wythe House.
Why
Now
would she?
here.
Damn. That was some
Honestly-
important ass slipper.
Okay.
Honestly, when I looked into this, I leaned towards the second story because one of two things. it would be more beneficial for George to have people think that she died in his arms. Like, doesn't that sound like oh, she died in my arms during childbirth. There was nothing I could do. She had a miscarriage, rather than like
Miscarriage.
Miscarriage. And instead of like, no, I was fucking her sister and she was so mad that she committed suicide in our house. Like, one, you got to imagine back then that like a prominent figure like George Wyatt, you know, he was in the circle, you know, in important circles. This would be like kind of like a black eye, you know, on his reputation. I'm like,
he could have just called her a witch. Witch.
Yeah.
Lynch her.
But you know what I mean? So like I lean towards this other version because I'm like, the other one, I'm like, okay, why is this competing story even existing? And to me, I'm like, I think that's the real story. And then the narrative's been pushed that no. She died in his arms because he was this great mentor. And it's like, no, I doubt that. I think I just personally, just looking into it, I lean towards this second narrative.
I mean, you did know George on a personal level, so I feel like you do have
not
some
at all
input on that. So
I like the name George.
that's fair.
He's a big fan of George of the Jungle. That's about as close as I got.
What about Curious George?
Curious George.
George Costanza.
George Costanza. Like I said, big fan of George's.
So the events that followed her death may lend some credence to your theory of what it is, because after Anne's death, Sir Skipwith actually married her sister.
You do not say.
So he marries the ugly sister. Come on.
And then many believe that Anne's jealous spirit still remains in the house.
Dude, 100%. Like that fucking adds up. It adds up.
People assume that it is her spirit because at least one account of the presence within the house, people have heard the sound of what seems to be running up the stairs, and they said that they hear the definite sound of one sharp heel hitting the step, and then the more muted sound of a bare foot.
Oh shit!
She's got one slipper on.
Shoe.
And then you also have people reporting apparitions of a ghost wearing a ball gown that perhaps she wore on the night of her death.
How do we know it's not George and drag just haunting that place?
We don't, I guess.
I mean,
We have no idea.
It's true.
We don't know.
Now, George is a little bit more infamous as well, because in 1806, after he had survived and married her sister, when he was 80 years old, his grandnephew and only heir, George Sweeney, poisoned him.
Oh shit!
Because
fucking Sweeney.
Although he was, came from money, he was actually deeply in debt, and he also had a large gambling debt.
He wanted to start his own barbershop. I get it.
And so he actually poisoned him. Now, the poison that he used led to George Wythe dying a slow and painful death over 2 weeks in Richmond, the capital, eventually. But what he didn't count on was that Wythe's loyal former slave, Lydia Broadnax, had actually saw Sweeney poison Wythe's cereal. And although
loyal enough to tell fucking Wythe, hey, he's poisoning you. I saw him do it.
So wait,
exactly.
Do we have this? This guy, you're talking about this Mr. Sweeney, right?
Well,
that's Mr. Feeney.
That's Mr. Feeney.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare fucking besmirch George Feeney! God damn it!
You're gonna mix up
blasphemous.
George Feeney with George Sweeney?
Holy
my whole life I thought it was George Sweeney.
No. Sweeney's the guy cutting people's throats in the barber's chair.
Mean but kind, heart of gold teacher mentor to Boy Meets World.
Mentor
but fair.
Corey.
Tough
right? His
but
whole
fair.
life.
Fred
he
Savage.
even became
And Sean.
Yeah. He literally,
and even Eric.
He
even
risked
Eric
his,
and Topanga.
in some sense, Eric as well. He even became a college professor to just continue to mentor them.
Yeah, he
might
followed
have
them.
even been a stalker. We could get into the conspiracy that George Feeney may have
don't
been
ever.
a stalker.
That's don't ever. Don't. That's blasphemy. George Feeney's a goddamn saint.
All right. My apologies. My apologies.
Now,
I won't stand for it.
like you said before, perhaps, she had a hand in what Wythe actually changed his will shortly before he died, to exclude George Sweeney from inheriting anything. So he had time to change his will. Unfortunately, since she was a slave, though, she could not testify in a trial against George Sweeney.
It also makes sense why she didn't stop him from eating the cereal, to be honest.
Right? That's what I don't understand. It's like she saw it, but she still didn't tell him. Like,
Yeah, but
well, she told him so he could change the will, but she couldn't testify against.
Listen,
the term loyal,
better late than never, right?
the term loyal former slave is an oxymoron, because like if she was that loyal, she probably would still have been a slave. But because she wasn't that loyal and he died, she wasn't a slave. So it's like, I don't blame Lydia at all. I would have just sided on him and been like, this is what you get.
Yeah.
So there are many, many more haunted places in there. Again, like I said, you have hundreds of years worth of history contained within this small area of colonial Virginia. And perhaps there is one of the places that is the most haunted, and we'll get into that after we get a little bit more.
I need
boozed
another
up.
fucking go. And we're going to talk about my favorite ghost tour.
This is true.
You got it. We'll be right back.
Challenge.
Man, that sunset is gorgeous.
Grill, patio, sunset. Hard to get better than that. Unless you're browsing Carvana's inventory while you soak it all in.
Oh, burger time.
So sit back, get comfortable. Carvana's got thousands of cars under $20,000 just waiting for you.
I could stay here forever.
Carvana, where car buying meets comfort, meets convenience. Download the app or visit Carvana.com today.
Man, that sunset is gorgeous.
Grill, patio, sunset. Hard to get better than that. Unless you're browsing Carvana's inventory while you soak it all in.
Oh, burger time.
So sit back, get comfortable. Carvana's got thousands of cars under $20,000 just waiting for you.
I could stay here forever.
Carvana, where car buying meets comfort, meets convenience. Download the app or visit Carvana.com today.
We're back.
We're back to the most haunted place on the East Coast and West Virginia, and East and West Virginia, technically, I guess. I mean, you
Thank
could
you,
probably
Dan.
qualify it as that, I'm sure. So one of the most haunted places, and I think this is this one has actually earned its name as one of the most haunted places. Butter churned, its own name as a extremely, or one of the most haunted places on the East Coast, is the Peyton Randolph House.
Yeah.
And now when researching for this topic, this is the one that keeps popping up, is the Peyton Randolph House. It's constant stream of videos and articles of, is Peyton Randolph House the most haunted place on the East Coast? Peyton Randolph House, the most haunted place in Virginia, most haunted place in America. This is the one that always pops up. So
Because
now
it's that classic building, that brick style building. They're always haunted. Look at this. Fucking,
Yeah,
And-
just looking at it, if you had to be like, guess the haunt, I'd be like, yeah, it's haunted, 100%.
yeah, no question.
So Peyton Randolph would actually probably be considered one of the United States' most prominent founding fathers. He was actually elected president of the First and Second Continental Congresses before actually dying of a stroke while dining with Thomas Jefferson.
He was
He's
poisoned.
with TJ?
Yeah. And he died at dinner, like they were eating together, and
Poisoned.
he just died,
What a
fucking
buzzkill, man.
stroked out.
See, and it's like, it's one of those things where, a death like this, you're like, well, it seems to be quick. It seems to be painless. But I'm like, maybe he had a lot of plans. Maybe he had a lot of plans coming to fruition and stuff. So it's like him dying, that it's like he left a lot on the table for himself. Like,
And Peyton had actually been a resident, or at least owned the house for quite a long time. His father, Sir John Randolph, had actually purchased it in 1721 and willed it to Peyton, and he took ownership of it when he was only 24. And then John actually ended up building a second house that became the East Wing, and then in 1724, Peyton connected the two houses with us, and actually built like a middle hall in the middle of the two houses. So it's actually two houses joined by another central structure.
Oh.
So the place, the actual location of the place has served as a temporary headquarters for the French general Jean-Baptiste Donatien de Vimeur,
Nice.
Comte de Rochambeau.
I thought, and Jean-Baptiste Emmanuel Zorg.
During the siege of Yorktown in 1781, and then it had actually been sold at auction in 1783. It served as a military hospital at the Battle of Williamsburg in May 5th in 1862 during the American Civil War. So again, we have another
A lot of trauma.
a lot of trauma going on.
You keep bringing up, so you've said Civil War fucking 3 times, and we have not once spoken about Captain America or Iron Man. So what the fuck's going on here?
Something doesn't add up.
This is bullshit.
I mean, it would have been like Captain Union and I guess like Confederate or
Man.
Captain Confederacy
Captain
and I like Iron like Iron Man. I'm still Ironclad Man. There you go. Ironclad Man.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
like
it would have been. Okay.
I like it.
But like this a military hospital, so it's like this again. This is the 1700s. Not a lot of people getting better.
Oh,
Yeah,
this guy,
you're
this guy
cutting
over
stuff
here
off,
in bed,
yeah.
the guy over there in bed 14 stubbed his toe. Oh, he's dead.
Cut his
Cut it
leg
off.
off,
Cut the leg off.
Amputated.
Amputate.
He's fucking
from
toast.
the hip.
Yeah.
Yeah, like sawing everything off.
Let's see if we can keep this one alive.
Now, by the early 1900s, the house had actually fallen into a bit of disrepair, but there was a restoration done on the structure in 1939. So the East Wing actually had to be completely torn down and reconstructed. And then the house had actually been designated.
Surprise.
Yeah, and the house had actually been designated a National Historic Landmark, and it's actually on the Register of Historic Places in the United States, and it's been on there since 1970, and it's open for tours in 1968. Now, the Peyton Randolph house, even though that part has been completely torn down and reconstructed, it actually retained a lot of the original pine floors, a lot of the walnut paneling, and the brass hinges and locks that the building had been originally constructed with.
Yeah.
And some people have perhaps pegged this as the origin for some of this thing. Like you had a lot of these original pieces of the structure, which had perhaps absorbed a lot of the emotional and psychological, imprints of the residents and the temporary visitors and the people who had been there, perhaps housed there during its hospital days. And these could perhaps be a reason for why it is still haunted. People have heard voices inside and seen objects move on their own. Some visitors have actually felt hands touch them or even push them, and these sensations of being, of having a physical like a physical presence go all the way back to the American Revolution, where you had actually the Marquis de Lafayette report these things, like write it down in his journal, reporting that he had felt these hands or some sort of presence
something's
near
fucked
him.
up in this house.
And then
something tabernacle in this house.
Oh, tabernacle.
And you've had the house actually served as a lodging residence for as recently as the 1960s. And you had actually at least one or two guests rush out in the middle of night claiming they had been physically or violently shook by something or had seen some type of apparition over their bed.
And honestly, to me, that is a logical. That's exactly what I would do if I was laying in bed and shit grabbed all my limbs and just gave me a little shake. I'm not staying in the house.
I'm out.
I'm getting out of the house. Like, fuck
Burning
that.
the fucking thing down.
I don't care what anyone says if they call me crazy. But I'm like, I was laying in bed, somebody grabbed my legs and started shaking me. Like, no, I'm out. I'm
There's
not.
no
Seriously
way.
though,
going
like,
back to bed.
How are you not even that night? How are you ever sleeping again in that fucking house? Ever? How do you rest your head on that fucking pillow and be like, do I get paranormally activated tonight again? Like, does this happen to me again? I don't know.
Well, I was going to say, as soon as that point happens, you're susceptible to it, right? Now it's in your head. Now you're thinking it. Now you're almost manifesting it as well, because you're like, this happened to me. Like, it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. Like,
you'd never sleep again.
Fuck.
You would never sleep in the house again, ever.
And so one of the apparitions of the ghost that people have commonly cited as being observed on the premise is you have the Peachy children. Now, the Peachy were the children of the Peachies who had owned the house after the Randolphs, and the father of the family, and the entire family are buried somewhere on the grounds. Not sure where, but they're buried there somewhere because headstones move and all that.
Yep.
And this is where you get one of the more chilling tales of like a paranormal encounter within the place itself. So you had a security guard who had heard apparently the laughter of children and the sound of tiny feet running across the floor as he locked up for the night. And that's always pretty freaking scary, if anything. And then you have another security guard. Most of them comes from security. Like I said, you have people there all the time, or at least you have people there late into the night. And you have a more recent story of a security guard who had become trapped in the basement of the house.
Dude, his account, like, you can look it up. His name's Pedro. Like, literally is terrifying. Like, you hear him and he talks about like hearing this like really low growl and then something grabbing his legs, both his legs, and him being stuck, like physically unable to lift his feet. So much so that he's like, I pulled out my gun because he was going to shoot something or someone. And then he's like, nothing's here. So he's like, I wasn't about to shoot myself. So I put it away. But he stood there just like locked in place.
He should have let off at least a desk pop just to let the ghost know.
One quick desk pop.
He's not fucking around. Just a quick one.
He should have, because like he just sat there. So then he gets on his radio and he like calls someone for help. And like in the time that he's like, hey, someone needs to come I'm stuck. Like, someone needs to come help me. I can't fucking move. I'm freaking the fuck out. And while he's waiting for help to come, you know, he's hearing doors slam. It's like, what's that video game we played? Phasmophobia? Doors are slamming. His flashlight's flickering on and off, and he can't physically move his legs. And he's just standing there trembling. And
fuck that.
The second the other person who comes to help him opens the door, everything just like, he's just like a weight off him. Just like,
dude,
gone.
That's so crazy. That's so crazy that think if like I was trying to hold your foot down, like legs are way stronger than arms. So you could easily you could kind of like pull me and like drag me. I might be able to hold on. But this sounds like he was like cemented to the floor. Like whatever had them pinned to the ground and he couldn't even shuffle.
Dude, and he's hearing that like large, like,
you'd be scarred for life. You'd be scarred for fucking life. That would be, you never know when it's going to happen to you again. You'd be thinking about it all the time.
You can look it up on YouTube if you want to watch his interview. It's called The Peyton Randolph House Security Trapped in Basement. And it's with Pedro. He kind of gives his account of what happened that night. And he said it took him because like his job was literally to go in and make sure that like no candles were left on and like, you know, all the doors were shut. And he said it took him 4 weeks to even walk through the front door. He physically couldn't do it. He was just so scared.
Now, the typical explanation that they offer during like some of the ghost tours and whatever is that the Randolph house was actually cursed by one of Betty Randolph's slave, Eve, who in 1782 apparently laid a curse on the house after being forcibly taken away and split from her son when she was sold to a different owner as punishment for trying to run away with the British the previous year. So perhaps this is something coming back and to that effect. So that's what the usual attribution is to the haunting of this place. In addition to the Peachy children, that you had at least one of the Peachy boys who had been climbing a tree, and then the branch broke and he fell to his death. You also had another story of a young girl on the second floor who fell out of her window to her death. So you have a lot of stuff in there that's kind of mulling around as to what it is. There, like I said, again, there's also there's the matter of the graves being somewhere on that land.
Are they graves or do they have a crypt?
No, they don't have a crypt. That's
Okay.
like graves. But nobody seems to know where they are. There is some theories floating around out there about, I guess, nearby to the Peyton Randolph house, there was some construction done on like a tunnel that had been done, like a road tunnel had been done, and perhaps that had disturbed some of the graves, and perhaps that's what is the cause, or had initiated some of the hauntings, or maybe even just amplified
Disturbed?
some of the
Disturbed
things
it.
going on.
Fuck. So what? Wait. So the main theories are a wife or children are the ghosts. So when you become a ghost, you gain supernatural, like you gain that super strength. Like a kid, there's no way.
Maybe.
There's no way a kid. Can
Not
hold
the
your feet
kids. I'm
down,
not
but-
saying like not the kids. Like perhaps that something else is perhaps it's the ghost of Eve coming back, holding someone down, trying to keep somebody back, or something like that.
One of the stories I read said Eve had a kid with her.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be her kid. That could be the little kid footsteps that are ripping around everywhere.
So at least one person seems pretty sure that they have caught physical evidence on film of the many ghosts, the many spirits that inhabit the grounds of Williamsburg. And this is he is the self-styled paranormal recorder Tim Scullion.
He's awesome.
Tim Scully? Are you talking about the ghostographer?
The ghostographer, yes. Sorry, that's
You
his
mean
official title, I suppose.
Are you talking about the pleather-cladded fucking Macho Man Randy Savage that's no longer on steroids?
Leather-clad Randy Savage.
He honestly, Kate, hold on. Listen. For those of you who don't know who we're talking about, Tim Scullion is the ghostographer. Go to YouTube, search up ghostographer.
There he is.
Put him.
Yeah,
put him
that's him right there.
He's fucking
Holy
awesome,
fuck.
dude.
Bonesaw is ready.
Go follow this guy's YouTube channel. It's the fucking
Go
best.
follow. It's awesome. And listen, I'm doing a call to arms. I want.
Did you
to
say he only has one YouTube video?
He has one YouTube video. And it's the most haunted house on the East Coast of the United States. And he's talking about Williamsburg, Virginia. But here's the thing. If you watch this video of Tim Scullion, who's wearing a leather hat, dyed hair, I hope that's a skullet.
No, that's natural black, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
That's
natural black.
100%.
I hope it's a skullet underneath that leather cap and his leather shirt. Go watch his video. It's 13 minutes long. It does not disappoint. At about the 10-minute mark, he talks about the ghost tours that he takes people on through Williamsburg. And he goes, in case you need more proof while you're on the tour with me, I show all my ghost photography on this large
Did you almost fuck it up?
Galaxy tablet.
You almost
and he
fucked
just
up.
Tablet.
he just holds
It's
up
on
this
the tablet.
gigantic Samsung Galaxy Tab. So here's the call to arms. Every single person who's listening, and if you listen to this podcast, go and follow our new friend of the show, Ghostographer. He doesn't know he's a friend of the show. He's a friend
No,
of
he
the show
doesn't.
now.
He doesn't. He doesn't know
listen-
us. We don't know him.
There's his tablet. You can't really see. It's a little dark.
Tablet.
The large Samsung Galaxy Tablet.
That's not how he talks.
Tablet.
It's even better. But here's the thing. See in the live, if you're watching a live stream, if you see the picture, and if for this call to arms, you're gonna have to do some work. If you can do a ghost tour with Tim Scullion, and you can get a picture of me doing a hang loose on his large Samsung Galaxy tablet, and get a picture with Tim Scullion while on a ghost tour, I will send you personally one item from our merch store, whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
Anything.
Whatever.
You name it. It's yours.
You're trading a piece of merch for your picture on Tim Scullion's large Samsung Galaxy tablet.
Yes.
Tablet.
And not edit it, Burmeister,
Yeah,
on our
Burmeister,
Facebook group. Like,
forget
that's not
about
going to
it.
work. You have to go on the Ghostographer's ghost tour in Colonial Williamsburg and then get a picture of your boy, be like, hey, man, you're going to have to explain to him, be like, hey, listen, the only reason I booked this is because I heard these guys talk about you on the show, and I just want a picture of this one guy doing this hang loose on your large Samsung Galaxy tablet.
Yeah, as far as I know, he doesn't necessarily utilize any special techniques, or he says that he does. I guess he says he has some sort of a proprietary secret technique to catching these
If
ghosts.
we get a TV show, if we ever get a TV show, the first episode, I'm dressing exactly like Tim Scullion.
I mean, yeah, I think we all that
you
was the
have to
plan.
now.
I'm sure
We
we
should
all said that.
all four of us should dress exactly like Tim Scullion for the first episode of whatever we do.
None of us have the flow
Yeah.
to be that guy.
Well, no, if you got
Yeah, but we could get a wig. We could get some
Yeah,
wigs.
we get those
could
sweet
wig up.
hats though.
We could wig
wear
up.
the black cowboy hat. Like that's easy. But Tim Scullion leads. He has a couple of published books where he puts in some of his work. He says that he has actually caught these, or he has photographic evidence, ghostographic.
Ghostographic.
I guess
Are these
ghostographic
real
evidence.
Yeah, what's happening right now?
I guess that's how you'd say it. Ghostographic evidence of
It is now.
these spirits. He says that he records orbs, apparitions. He's caught some photos of mysterious, like looking mists or something
that he reviews on his large Samsung Galaxy tablet.
Being able to zoom in on these heavily pixelated elements of his photographs, and some of these he interprets to be representations of apparitions, or perhaps these are the spirits of people who had either died or people who are trapped, the spirits of the people who are trapped within these buildings.
I have so many questions for Tim Scullion that have nothing to do with ghosts. I want to ask, when did the leather wardrobe start?
How many times have you seen Creed live in concert?
Yeah. Was it ghost hunting? Was that the thing? Because you're like, you know what? I want to stand out. I'm going to wear the leather shirt, leather hat. I'm going to jet
Leather.
black.
For sure.
I think it looks,
And
it looks
I'm
great.
not making fun of it. I fucking love it.
He was an educator by trade, and then he got disillusioned with that. And then I don't know, maybe they didn't let him
With
wear the
leather?
hat in
You got
class.
disillusioned with leather?
Well, I mean, maybe he wanted to wear more leather and the cowboy hat, and they wouldn't let him wear that.
So
because,
what you're saying is he's hell bent for leather?
They're like, he comes in, they're like, Tim, can't wear that to school. Leather pants. He's got some leather.
This is a facility of learning, Dan.
Oh man, what should I call him now and get him on the show, or what?
Does he have a
Come on
number?
the show.
I'm sure we can find him.
I mean, you can book tours with him. So
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
I
sure
assume
we
he has
can
a
find
contact. He has a website. I mean,
Yes. I love Tim Scullion. Honestly, of all the ghost shows I've ever watched, he's my guy. The
from his
Ghostographer.
from his one YouTube video. It's enough.
He has 23 subscribers on YouTube. We can do way better.
Soon to be
because
24.
Because honestly, we need to get him at least 28.
Dude,
because
I'm giving-
he's
here it
fucking
is.
amazing.
Here's his website. We've been talking about him. No joke. If you're around the area, Ghostographer tours.
Yes.
No, it says ghostographer.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seeing is believing.
Listen, you book the
He's got
tour.
ghosts. He's got ghost
You get a
photos on
picture
here.
of me doing the hang loose from this live stream on his large Samsung Galaxy tablet, or merch, or whatever you want. It basically a guaranteed theory out of the week, 100%. And you're gonna get a ghost tour of Colonial Williamsburg. Maybe
Yeah,
get
I mean,
to
that's
second base.
enough.
Who
It's a
knows?
2-for-1.
It'd be a fun trip. Yeah. It'd be a fun trip to Colonial Williamsburg is a cool place. Like, I'm not
Dan
gonna lie.
text
I think
me
it's pretty
tomorrow. He was Tim Skilling. He's like, send me my
Free
sweater.
merch. I'm tired of paying for my shirts.
Get to second base with Tim Scullion.
Me and Tim Scullion are bros. Ghostographer bros.
Yeah. I love it. Like, honestly, everything about that video, I was like, I stumbled upon it while looking into this, and I was like, I can't even focus on Colonial Williamsburg anymore because Tim Scullion is fascinating me as a person and as a ghostographer.
That's a good find for something with no views.
Yes, right?
That's a great find for something with no views.
23 subscribers, and I was like, and it's his only video. I was like, this is way better than Ghost Hunters. This is way better than any show that you find on any national news channel because it's got Tim Scullion, who's my new favorite ghost hunter. Ghostographer. Sorry, Tim.
There are plenty of other, there's at least 8 or 10 more haunted places on the list, but as we're running a little bit on here, I think we can get into final thoughts about Colonial Williamsburg.
Yeah, there's tons of haunted
I'll start. Here's the thing. Like we talked about, this is an area that has a rich history of war, of unrest, of murder, of civil war. There is all the recipes, all the little tales we've told are only scratching the surface of all the stories that you find out. Like, we didn't even get to Blackbeard and his compatriots being hung on Hangman Trail. And, there's stories of ghost wagons.
What the fuck did you leave that out? That's awesome.
Yeah, dude.
They did hang pirates there.
They hung pirates it's called the Hangman Trail, and people they'll be walking and they'll hear wagon wheels.
We're talking about fucking Barnabas Randolph here when we could have been talking about Blackbeard, the fucking pirate.
Well, I mean, Blackbeard wasn't hung there, but
Blackbeard wasn't hung, but a lot of his compatriots were. 15 of them.
Okay. Oh, we'll have to put that on a confidential or something.
Yeah. But so this area has a rich history of executions, like I said, tortured souls. Again, this is ATT. We've done back-to-back weeks of ghost stories here, of spooky. And so, listening, this shit has all the ingredients for tortured souls and unrest in the other world if there is something else after. This is it all. This is it all packed in an 83 kilometer radius, Dan? 83 square miles?
80 square miles.
80 square miles, something like that. Right? It has it all packed in. So it's you can do haunted tours there. I would love, to be honest. The second, we've been meaning to do an East Coast trip. We've talked about going and visiting Dan. If that happens and comes to fruition, one of the things I would like to do is a haunted tour.
Oh, for sure.
Williamsburg. 100%.
And Tim Scullion's the first guy we're calling.
Yeah. It's going to be me.
You're going to get the free shirt.
With me on his Lodge Samsung Galaxy tablet.
I'm going to agree with Braden 100%. This has all the tortured souls needed for a haunted area. So many different residences and buildings and college campus and everything. It's not just one building. This is spread over an entire region. But Dan said it before, just all of Virginia is probably just massively haunted because of all the death. That was central Civil War killing battlefields there, right? Pretty much that whole area. So yeah, tortured souls trapped there. Insert reason why they'd be trapped there, and we've discussed a few of them. But yeah, there's dozens and dozens of other ones if you start digging. So tortured souls trapped. Place is fucking haunted, and we're definitely going when we do our East Coast tour.
With the Ouija.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, sign me up. I'll go there for sure.
Oh,
that'd be awesome. I would love to go along for that.
What?
That'd be a blast. Dude, listen, this place is rich in history. We're going to fucking churn some butter. We're going to have a good time. Maybe we're going to make it to second base. It's going to be fucking fun. Things might get a little spooky later when you got the weird guy telling the stories, lighting something on fire. That's fine. I'm okay with this. This isn't a fucking sanitarium or any of that crazy shit. This is fun. I'm on board for this. This is fun. That being said, yeah, you know what? If places are going to be paranormally activated, it makes sense for there to be lots of sorrow and painful stuff. But places that have been around for as long as this fucking place all have those things, right? You can't be around for that long of time to not been involved in a war or pain and sorrow and murder and terribleness. But I'm definitely good. I'm saying it right now, live. I'm going.
What?
I'm down. I think this would be a fucking blast.
This is the show is taking a turn here.
Well, it doesn't mean I'm not going to be wearing fucking Pampers the whole time. I'll probably piss a little. That's fine. But this will be fun.
Okay,
I'm on board.
Perfect. Dan?
Yeah. Colonial Williamsburg is a great place. It's a definitely a vital part to Virginia and United States history. Like I've been there a couple times. I know I've been there. It's part of like I grew up.
We've heard all about it.
Yeah, you have.
You hear about it more in detail on After Hours.
I grew up around here, so it's like again, Virginia is the whole state is crazily rich in history and also but many sites of extreme suffering. You have tons of battlefields here in Virginia, places of conflict and things like that, but not just from the Civil War. You have the Revolutionary War as well. And so these places that have existed for a long time, like I said, Jamestown was a brutal settlement. It has a very brutal history, where the colonists actually had to revert at one point to cannibalism. Colonial times were not exactly what we paint. Like the Patriot, for example, the Mel Gibson feature film paints a very kind of like flowery picture of colonial life. But
now hold on, isn't Jamestown also where like later on Jim Jones had everyone do the mass suicide?
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
That's like in South America. I'm pretty sure it's South or Central America.
Jonestown.
That's
Jonestown.
Town.
Yeah, this is Jamestown we're talking about.
Jamestown. But if one place were to be haunted, I would think it would be more like this place that has a very long and a long history of existence, of being existent and inhabited for a long time.
Inhabited.
This is like my fifth thing. This is my fifth.
Dan's getting fucking drunk.
So yeah, like if there's places are going to be haunted, and maybe people have reported seeing so many things there. Like there's always that woman in white, or they see somebody in a window that nobody else saw before, and especially things of apparitions just disappearing actually before you. It's not like I saw somebody, I went around the corner, freaked out for a second, came back, and they were gone. It's like I was staring at somebody and they disappeared right in front of me. Just and that is creepy. That's fucking creepy.
Do you think there's anything to do with like you're paying to go to a ghost tour? Like you want to fucking see something,
right?
So don't you think you're gonna like every?
Well, there might be there might be a little bit of bias. Like you're coming in there and like there might be a little bit of that, but but some people not on the ghost tours report seeing this. Again, there is a lot of people that go to this place. It's not just like for ghost tours. Like I said, like tons of hundreds, if not thousands of students from all around Virginia go there. I think it's part of like the Virginia curriculum, like school education curriculum. Like you have to go there at some point because it's like, I think every school kind of goes there. And I went there in sixth grade. And, it's like everybody ends up going there at some point, and it's just so many people have gone through there. You just
Father Pandozzi, we got that.
I mean, there's just a lot. You could just say that there's a lot of psychic energy that goes through there just from everyday people inhabiting it.
Case file 196, the Pandozzi house.
Boys, did you guys go to Father Pandozzi's? That's fucking shit's crazy.
It is creepy,
dude. If there's any
all four houses there,
if there's anywhere haunted, that place looks like it in Kelowna.
We're gonna let's start calling it Colonial Pandozzi. Because it's like Colonial's Williamsburg in the sense that it's some old houses, but there's only three houses, and they're like on like a quarter acre.
Scary though.
It is creepy.
Yeah.
Good thing there's some condos surrounding it.
Oh, boom! Back-to-back scary weeks.
Spookies.
We did a big stint on the aliens UFO hypothesis.
It's true.
So this was the fan pick, and so it came out two in a row.
So the fan pick. I had cryptid ghosts on there. I had ghosts, and I think I had a UFO encounter.
One of each.
So I usually try to mix it up, but this is the one I wanted.
Yeah.
But if you're there,
a lot of people excited about colonial ghosts. Yeah.
we don't choose a winner. A lot of people want to churn some butter this week. We don't choose a winner because if we would have picked, we wanted Chupacabra. But
Big time.
hey,
It's coming.
Colonial Williamsburg, we're going. I will put it into. I'm going to remote view. One day you will see us taking pictures and doing some live shit at Colonials Williamsburg in the future.
During the day. Yeah.
During the day.
At high noon.
High noon.
High noon. 100%. I didn't specify time of day. During the day. 100%.
Yeah. With Tim Scullion.
Yeah.
With our boy Tim Scullion.
Boy, Tim.
All right. This I mean, the randomatron's still gone. We don't know what the fuck's going on.
I've been trying to
with that.
track it down. It's gone. It is like,
Gone. But
there is no force on this earth that can find the randomatron.
so it's kind of weird for space news and stuff. I don't know what's going on, but I did have a case file, like a fan submission. And the only reason I had this is because someone from Cosmic Channels reminded us that they had sent this in and they resent it to our email instead of the randomatron. So I have it today. Should I read it?
Sure. Why not?
Good.
This is good old days, but before the randomatron.
This is from Mr. Burmeister himself.
Burmeister himself.
Very active on our
Burmeister.
Facebook group. If you're not on a Facebook group, the memes us all the time. Hey guys, I'm a longtime listener to the show. I have a circle of friends that talks about all sorts of topics like you guys do. They have all since moved away to different locations, but when I listen to your show, I feel like I'm talking with them again. I don't mind if you use my real name if Braden decides to read this one on the podcast. Back in the mid-2000s, I was in a band with a few other guys from Wisconsin. We recently all got back in contact with each other after our bass player passed away last month.
R.I.P.
We started reminiscing about our old shows, tours, and recording our album in studio. There has always been one moment during those band days that I still think about to this day. We were driving back home from Teresa, Wisconsin, from the recording studio in Green Bay. We had just been recording and mastering the album for at least 15 hours straight. I want to say it was in June because the sun would rise around 5 a.m. and that was around the time we were a few miles from home. There was the start of sunlight, but it wasn't super bright out just yet. As we drove over the hill around 55 miles per hour near a local pheasant farm, all of us casually watched a dark figure running on all fours at high speed off to the right of the highway. It ran so fast that it crossed the road in front of us without me hitting the brakes or slowing down and got across safely without getting hit. It looked like a dog or a wolf, but was closer to the size of a bear. I turned to my drummer at the time and said, "Did I just imagine that?" He replied that he saw it too, and it must have been a demon. All of us discussed how we had the same feelings over our body when we saw the creature. This kind of feeling you get in a car accident or almost get in a car accident. Everything starts to go numb from your feet up to your arms. The feeling like your foot falls asleep, but in your whole body and you can't move. Time slows. We had always heard of tales of goat men in the Teresa Marsh, but this didn't look like a goat. A few months later, we saw other newspaper reports come out in the paper of people seeing something similar to what we saw. A guy who worked for the DNR was picking up dead deer on the side of the road in the township of Erin, Wisconsin, which is 20 miles from our sighting. He got in his truck and to fill out the report of where he found the deer, and something grabbed the deer from the back of his cab and ran off with it. The news called it Bigfoot, but his description was much like ours. He actually posted a link of the BFRO report of this report
event?
of someone getting pulled up. So if you want that, I'll post it in the I'll post it on Instagram on Friday with our stuff. I'll post this link. The news called it Bigfoot, but his description was much like ours. He said it was all black, had a head that was a cross between a black bear and a wolf. Its ears were pointed straight up, not folded over. He knew it wasn't a bear. He could see something like a muzzle, but he couldn't see its eyes. There were even more sightings that year and years after. Farmers reported livestock had been attacked and chunks were taken out of their hindquarters, so they had to put the animals down. There were other sightings in and around landmark called Holly Hill. He attached a picture as well. It looks like a place out of Lord of the Rings with wooded areas for miles. People have reported seeing the same type of creature out there, which is again only 20 miles from where we saw it and 6 miles from where the DNR guy saw it. I read that wolves can travel around 30 to 50 square miles per day, which leads me to think that it's part wolf. Whatever the other part is, I will never know. But I know that I never want to see it again.
Oh, fuck. That's crazy. Pulls it out of the back of the truck.
Good fucking story, Burmeister. I can't believe the Randomatron never spit that out. Thanks for messaging us on Chasmic Channels, the second and last Sunday of every month.
Chasmic
Channels.
Chasmic.
Fuck you, call us. And reminding us that you had sent that in.
That's a great story. Awesome. Do we have a Theorite of the Week?
Oh, do we?
We can only give out one Theorite of the Week, right? One.
Only one. There's only one complete piece of Theorite to be handed out.
Yes.
But it puts us in a little bit of a conundrum this week, doesn't it?
It does.
Does.
If you can only give out one award, but you have two contenders, you must.
What if we broke it in half?
For the first time, break the Theorite of the Week award into two pieces, a 0.5, granting two people a 2.5 time Theorite of the Week.
Woo! 2.5.
We got to give it
2.5.
Number one to Stephen Estep. He's been with us a long time. And also to the meme lord himself, Burmeister, for both of them just putting out constant, amazing fucking content.
All the time. So both of you from now on are two-time Theorite of the Week.
2.5.
2.5 time.
2.5 times.
Theorite of the Week.
2.5
time. This week is hard. I mean, Burmeister is always around on our Facebook group making meme after meme. Sometimes, honestly, it feels like he's making a meme minutes after we've said
in real time.
A joke in real time.
He's already made 3.
There's already been made on this show.
And same with Stephen Estepe, always posting great stuff, always being a part of
Cosmic Channels.
He's a big member on our Discord server. So, kudos to you guys. Huge members of the Theorite community. First and only 2.5 time Theorite of the Weeks couldn't go to a better two guys.
Yeah, greatly appreciated. Thanks.
I hope to have a beer with both of you sometime in the future.
One day. It'll happen.
Burmeister especially for, I've said it before, I'm his muse, so.
We'll meet you guys at Colonial Williamsburg during the day.
Noon sharp. Spring 2022.
We'll take you
with Tim Scullion.
We'll all sit around his large Samsung Galaxy tablet. Have a good time.
All right. If you're not already supporting the show and you want to get early access to the case files, the bonus content, the live stream, the Discord, all the other stuff, head over to patreon.com/Alien Theorist Podcast or find the link in the podcast description. This week's newest supporters: Josh Smith, Madeline Gray, Mike Minviel, a full year pledge by William, Tim Lamb, Justice and Kathleen, full year pledge by Sonia O'Donnell, full year pledge by
Sonia.
Sexy Christmas Fireplace Tim.
All right.
Great fucking name. Bogdan Krasian? God damn, sometimes you get one. Bogdan Krasian, and last but not least, Daniel Fraser. Thank you very much for supporting the show.
Woo! And go check out the Ghostographer on YouTube. And as we always say at the end of these things, keep those eyes on the sky.
I'll see you in after hours. I don't think anyone's ever got such a plug on our show, ever.
Dude, well,
For
it's
nothing.
amazing.
He deserves
For
it.
I
nothing.
fucking love
Deserves
it.
it. He deserves it.
One YouTube video.
One
He's
video.
already got 4 new subscribers.
I read the article about him. I saw a couple of photos, and then I was like, "Holy shit!"
He's awesome.
He's like Dog the Bounty Hunter, but for paranormal activity.
He's got
love
one
it.
video. How did you find that?
I don't know, dude. I was in the YouTube rabbit hole, and then he popped up, and I was like, "What's?" Because it has nothing to do with.
Yeah, he writes the book. When you search Williamsburg haunted, his stuff pops up first.
It did pop, but he's only got usually like because YouTube's very like those algorithms are based on like popularity a lot of times.
I
If you only have
don't
one
think it like
video-
ghost wise like his is up.
The comfort of your favorite seat is now your comfy car selling command center, thanks to Carvana.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Your favorite seat's the best spot in the house. Make it even better by entering your license plate or VIN and getting a real offer in minutes.
There really is no place like home.
And speaking of home, Carvana will pick up your car from yours after you finalize your offer. Visit Carvana.com or download the app and sell your car from your comfy place. The comfort of your favorite seat is now your comfy car selling command center, thanks to Carvana.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Your favorite seat's the best spot in the house. Make it even better by entering your license plate or VIN and getting a real offer in minutes.
There really is no place like home.
And speaking of home, Carvana will pick up your car from yours after you finalize your offer. Visit Carvana.com or download the app and sell your car from your comfy place.